Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm taking a look at the LA Chargers and going over Joey Bosa and kind of giving my thoughts after he has been interviewed about Brandon Staley and the Chargers' new defensive scheme switching to a 3-4 scheme. But before we get on that topic, question for those of you viewing, comment down below, where do you rank the Chargers defense heading in 2021? Top 5, top 10, top 15, wherever it is, comment down below and kind of hear my answer throughout or at the end. Getting straight into it though, again, Brandon Staley switching to more of a 3-4 scheme. It's going to transition Joey Bosa more from a pure pass rusher, defensive end, to more of the label called outside linebacker. What he had to say about his transition is that this is all paraphrasing. He's not so much unable to transition with the athleticism side. We know Joey Bosa is 6'5", 6'8" freak. What he said is it's not so much that the athleticism, it's seeing the field, understanding the formation, seeing the shifts, and getting the calls. Joey Bosa is going into a very cerebral system, I believe. You know, Brandon Staley, he led the #1 defense in the league for a reason, but I do believe Joey Bosa and his raw skill, raw talent, athleticism, and I do believe this is a guy that has some major work ethic and is willing to sit down, do the homework, and do the film, will be able to catch up to this system and perform phenomenally. More to say what Joey Bosa had to say about this situation is that Joey Bosa said, if down the road I'm saying this doesn't work for me, I'm going to speak up. But I don't really see that coming at all. I think they have a great plan in mind, and right now I'm just going to put my ego aside and do the best I can to be a good teammate and learn the best I can. That's exactly what you want to hear from your star guy, your highest paid guy on the team, the guy that's the bread and butter to your defense, the bread and butter to your team. He is a franchise guy as of today. Of course, Herbert will, if not already, but you guys know what I mean. Defensively, Joey Bosa is where it's at as far as the Chargers. That's everything you want to hear him say. If he was concerned, he'd say something. He hasn't said anything. That means what he's seeing, he is liking. That is exactly what I want to hear. That is music to my ears if you're looking for the Chargers to have a great season and a great defensive scheme. Again, this is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough transition going from 4-3 to 3-4. It's still football. He's still getting after the quarterback, but still the slight changes of trying to get used to coverage, trying to read different plays, trying to play in different schemes. It is a different transition that Joey Bosa will have to adapt. And this just isn't Joey Bosa. You know, this is everyone that's going to be switching. Everyone on that defense. Linval Joseph, Jerry Tillery, Uchenna Nwosu, rookie Chris Rumph, Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquil, secondary, Tavon Campbell, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., Chris Harris Jr., Michael Davis. This is Nasir Adderley. This is a big transition for everyone. It's a completely new defensive scheme. I'm excited to see it, but based off of Joey Bosa's interviews, answers, and reaction, I got high hopes for this Chargers team this year. I already did, but it just gives me a little bit more confidence in what I'm going into. Them being in training camp, seeing them do well, seeing them be healthy, you know, that's good for the Chargers to be healthy in just 1 week. It seems like it's nothing, but that's a big deal for the Chargers to go into the season fully healthy as of today. There's already been flukes around the NFL of guys getting banged up. Xavier Howard tweaked his ankle. It's minor, but he tweaked his ankle, and as the guys that's trying to, you know, make a case to be traded right now, getting banged up is not going to help his trade value. Carson Wentz in the Colts, he's out indefinitely now with an ankle injury. Again, it could be minor, it could be major. It's unknown right now, but still, there are injuries going around the league. The injury bug can be caught, and the Chargers tend to always have it. It is good to see this team be healthy, and it's good to see Joey Bosa, the most important guy on this defense, to be on board with this defense. Again, I don't know who's going to step up and be this #2 guy for Joey Bosa. As I've said in several other videos, the Chargers, I compare them to the Batman and Robin scheme. Joey Bosa is the Batman of this front four. He can do it all, but he needs a sidekick. He needs a Robin to take the pressure off from time to time. You know, he doesn't got to meet Joey Bosa's skill level, just like Robin doesn't meet Batman's skill level or superpowers. They don't have superpowers. You guys know what I mean. I'm getting that a little out there now, but he needs a sidekick. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Uchenna Nwosu filling the Leonard Floyd role with Aaron Donald, like Brandon Staley had them do with the Rams. I don't care if it's Jerry Tillery finally turning around in 3 years, or I think it's going to be his third year, yeah. Or second year, excuse me. I don't know which one. I want to say it's his third year. Whether it be rookie Chris Rumph, whether it be old man Linval Joseph, whether it be Kenneth Murray getting in the pass rush. I don't care who it is. They need to find a sidekick, a reliable Robin for Joey Bosa. I think Brandon Staley will. I think this won't be a problem any longer, but it still needs to be addressed, and it still needs to come into fruition. Just because I think it'll happen, I actually need to see it happen. And the same thing, the Batman Robin situation is kind of flipped in the secondary. Again, I made this analogy before. Outside of Derwin James, of course, after Joey Bosa, he's easily the best defensive player on this team. You could even argue he's better than Bosa. That's an argument for another video, but just saying, outside of Derwin James, there's no clear Batman in the secondary, as far as the pure cornerback position goes. Devon Campbell, Asante Samuel Jr., Chris Harris Jr., Michael Davis, those guys are all great Robins. Michael Davis is a pure number 2 corner that's great at being it. Asante Samuel Jr., he has upside, but he's going to be a rookie. Chris Harris Jr., he's great, but he's getting older. Those guys are perfect sidekicks for a number 1 cornerback in the league, like a Ramsey, like an Xavier Howard if the Chargers want to reach out to him, like a Stephon Gilmore, whoever it may be. Those are great sidekicks, but there's no pure number 1 Batman in that secondary. And I'm sorry, if you guys don't like Batman or Robin, you're probably like, what is this kid talking about? But I'm going, again, who doesn't want to have some fun in their speculative comparisons? But I think it'll be fine. I think this is just a hurry up and wait thing for the Chargers to be really patient and find their Batman in the secondary and find their Robin in the pass rush. Again, Derwin James is phenomenal. You could call him the Batman, and in Brandon Staley's scheme, there are no corners or safeties. There's just defensive backs, so that would kind of, void my argument. But from a different perspective, from a blank points perspective, from a random fan's perspective, I don't think there's a Batman cornerback, a number 1 lockdown cornerback. Again, I'd love to see this Chargers team go out there and trade for an Xavier Howard. It might cost you a first-round pick. It'll probably cost you a first-round pick, but this defense would be one of the best ones in the league. And that's how you make a run at taking down the Kansas City Chiefs. They got the cap space to do it. They got Justin Herbert on a rookie contract for only so long. They need to make a couple big moves while they can for only so long. Again, this video is all about Joey Bosa reacting and being on board with this defense and switching outside linebacker and switching a 3-4. But if I'm talking about the defense and a top 3 cornerback in the league is requesting a trade, I'm going to be talking about him as well. Overall, with or without Xavier Howard, I do expect this team to have pretty good success this year. I already said their range of winning, realistically, I think is between 10-7 and 12-5. A team that still has it's going to have some growing pains, playing Washington's front 4 week 1, being in the AFC West with the Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs, not an easy division. NFC East is the other division they play. It's not the greatest, I know that, but it's still going to be better than it was last year. Again, Washington, Dallas, Eagles, Giants. I'm not fearful of that division. It's probably the best one I would want to play, but it's still not cupcake games all around. Vikings is their 17th game again. Browns and Ravens, they got to play. It's a tough schedule for the most part, so there are going to be some growing pains, and that's why I think they could have a 10-7, 11-6, 12-5 record. They're not going to, I just don't see them going 13-4, 14-3 just yet. They could. They have that type of ceiling, but realistically, I think this is just going to be a really figuring themselves out type of year with Herbert in year 2, with Brandon Staley as a head coach, his brand new defensive scheme, all these guys getting used to it, getting one more offseason, finding that next best guy to really take this team to the next level. Overall, though, 10-7, 11-6, 12-5, that's still a playoff spot. That's a wild card spot, and this is a dark horse Super Bowl team if they could figure themselves out. Whether they get Xavier or not, I like that Joey's on board. I like that he's going to find someone to help him out. Linval Joseph, Kenneth Murray, Chris Rump, Jerry Tillery, I don't care who it is. I do think someone will step up. And in the secondary, like I said, Derwin James, Nasir Adderley, Chris Harris Jr., Asante Samuel Jr., Michael Davis. I like this defense a lot. I like the offense. Herbert, I think he's a top 10 QB. He's on the come up. He's only getting better. Austin Eckler's top 3, top 5 receiving back. Offensive line, it's going to have some growing pains, build some chemistry, some experience together, but on paper, it's pretty solid. Rashawn Slater, Oday Abushi, Matt Filer, Corey Linsley, Brian Bulaga, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, rookie Josh Palmer. A lot of people like him. He's never had a great quarterback in college, yet he's still put up some impressive film. You give him a great quarterback like Herbert, this guy could be a top receiving, I don't want to say top receiver in general in the league because I haven't seen him completely yet, but I do think he could possibly emerge to be the number 2 option for the Chargers by the end of the year if Mike Williams doesn't break out. Either way, I think they have a great number 2, whether it be Mike Williams breaking out or Josh Palmer breaking out. I think one of those guys are going to step up big, and then you got your wild card plays and high ceiling plays and Jalen Guy and Tyron Johnson. Justin Herbert, Jared Cook already seem to be having great chemistry together. Chargers got some hope this year. Again, not betting on them to win the Super Bowl, but they could be a sneaky team in the playoffs, that's for sure. You train Xavier Howard, you get Joey Bosa completely used to this team, and get the whole defense used to this team. Watch out for the Chargers this year. You guys tell me, though, how you think of Joey Bosa in this team. Referring back to question today, where do you rank their defense? To me, it's pushing top 10. I think it can get to top 5. I just think it's a little soon right now to give them that title. We got to see Derwin James after injury. We got to see rookie Asante Samuel Jr. We got to see who steps up for Bosa. There's just a lot of question marks for me to give them a top 5, top 8 type of title. I think they're fighting around top 10, but still I can't give them an extreme title just yet. I think they could get there, but not yet. As always, and of course, thank you for watching, guys.